covering every county. This is your statewide newscast, Arkansas Today.
Good afternoon, I'm Mallory Brooks. Thanks for joining us for Arkansas Today on this Wednesday afternoon. We begin with breaking news happening out of Northwest Arkansas. The former VA pathologist who is accused of working while impaired was denied bond and will remain in jail. Robert Levy will stay in jail until the trial on September 8th of 2020. He's been deemed a danger to the community by the judge. He pleaded not guilty to the charges against him, including 3 counts of manslaughter. Well, President Trump is at United Nations headquarters in New York right now, while back in the nation's capital, House Democrats begin an official impeachment inquiry. Jay Gray has the latest now from New York.
The president must be held accountable. No one is above the law.
Accountability, the Speaker and House Democrats now believe, can only come through impeachment. It's just the 4th time a president has faced the process. Here's how it will unfold. 6 House committees will investigate President Trump on a wide range of possibly impeachable offenses, including a whistleblower's claim Mr. Trump tried to convince the president of the Ukraine to investigate political rival Joe Biden and his son's ties to a Ukrainian gas company. The White House releasing a memorandum, not a verbatim transcript, of their phone call this morning. The president asking for a favor and suggesting that the Ukrainian leader discuss details with the attorney general and the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani.
I think it's ridiculous.
The president has blasted the inquiry on social media, calling it witch hunt garbage and presidential harassment.
I'm leading in the polls. They have no idea how they stop me. The only way they can try is through impeachment.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the General Assembly this morning.
As the Democrats now begin their impeachment inquiry on Capitol Hill, the president still has plans to meet with the leader of the Ukraine here at the UN later today.
His work on the sidelines of this summit, anything but business as usual. Jay Gray, NBC News, New York.
Jay, thank you. This is only the 4th time in U.S. history a president has faced official allegations of treason, high crimes, and misdemeanors. Moving now to Northwest Arkansas, the Washington County Sheriff's Office believes they have identified the pilot that died in a plane crash Monday night. According to the Sheriff's Office, 17-year-old Gabriel Hatton of McKinney, Texas, is believed to be the pilot. A single-engine Cessna plane crashed south of Strickler. Hatton's body will be sent to the Arkansas State Medical Examiner's Office for positive identification. The case is being looked at by the Federal Aviation Administration and National Transportation Safety Board. The Children's Safety Center hosting a free child abuse prevention training workshop in Springdale last night. According to the center, 90% of child abuse victims know their abuser. The 2-hour workshop addressed child sexual abuse in the context of today's issues and taught people a 5-step approach to protect children.
I've trained almost 1,000 adults in our community in this specific training, so it really gives adults tools and tips on how they can make sure to keep their children safe.
The Children's Safety Center is a nonprofit that serves children who have experienced child maltreatment. The police chief in Palestine taking a pay cut to help pay for a school resource officer. After the school district was told they didn't have the money, Chief Blake Hudson said he would chop 20% out of his salary. That made way for one of his own part-time officers to be promoted to a full-time school resource position.
I feel like as long as I can still provide for my family, why not take that cut so that I can do what needs to be done to make sure the kids are protected in school.
The superintendent says the school would not have had a resource officer this year or in the near future without Chief Hudson's selfless act. A couple in St. Francis County, Arkansas, charged Monday in the death of a baby girl in July. 22-year-old Carrie Darby and 30-year-old Joseph Phillips were charged with manslaughter. 13-month-old Delaney Rose Phillips died in Widener, Arkansas after her parents said she put something lethal in her mouth at a park. Investigators called the death suspicious, and the county coroner said it would be weeks before a toxicology report could point to a cause of death. Miller County Sheriff's officials say they're focusing on a couple of suspects in a brawl that broke out on the field during a football game in Fouke, Arkansas Friday night. The incident happened at the end of the 3rd quarter as Fouke was playing Glen Rose at home. Deputies say a complaint was filed by a parent of the opposing team in which their child was struck by someone from the bleachers. The scene was so chaotic, the game was never completed.
At this point in time, no coaches are involved. It is primarily, again, focused on spectators who inappropriately entered the field of play and engaged in an inappropriate course of conduct.
Officials say no significant injuries were reported. Falk will not play its scheduled game against Prescott this Friday. A Jonesboro man makes it past the blind auditions on The Voice. Corey Jackson sang Glenn Campbell's song Galveston. Blake, Gwen, and Kelly all turned their chairs, but Corey knew exactly which coach to pick.
Even though it was really hard not to pick Gwen or Kelly because, man, they just made it sound so good. But, you know, I wanted to stick with Blake because he just got that country thing that I want, you know, and I feel like we would make a great team.
You can catch Corey Jackson in the team battle rounds in a couple of weeks. If you want to see him in person, he'll be performing at the Johnny Cash Heritage Festival coming up next month. Let's take a look back on this day in history. On this day in 1957, the Little Rock Nine started their first day at Little Rock Central High School. And in 1981, Sandra Day O'Connor was sworn in as the first woman on the U.S. Supreme Court. And that is a look at your headlines coming up. Green Bay fans, get excited. We have a special recipe for you with Chef Serge in just a few minutes.